Good morning, everyone. Can we have the presentation, please? So I know it's always very difficult to speak first thing in the morning when we are still getting out of our cup of tea and we're trying to settle down. Let me just keep it very short, very sweet, and give you a very different perspective of analytics and insights. Typically what we use in the retail per se. I personally feel retail as a business can be run only with one resource, and that resource is data. If you have the right data and you can draw the right insight, you can do it. Unfortunately, we have always made it very technical in nature. We make it not so easy to do. What I will perhaps try to talk about today, how generating an insight from data in a retail industry is very, very easy, very simple. If you can answer a few basic questions, you have what you want. So let me just talk about what is happening in the retail, right? We have always learned in our B schools or our classes that if you really want to sell, make sure that you have the right product at the right place, at the right time, at the right price. That's how we have grown. But that's last generation. The retail has changed. Today, my customer is actually in the center. He's constantly interacting with my brand. He's constantly interacting with my product. I need to try to understand what he is thinking, when he is thinking, and where and what time he will buy. If I can do that, I can sell it. And that's the difference which is coming. We are in that phase of transition. And how this is happening? There are three things which are happening. One, my customer has become the focal point of my business. It's no more product. That's a big thing. Customer centricity is at the center stage. I can know more about my customer today because I have options to do data-driven decision making, which I didn't have earlier. I have much more information. Particularly, the new channels have made it very easy for me to get about customer. And very importantly, the enablement is coming because I have multiple channels to reach to my customer. The omni-channel, which we used to read about it in the books, is actually taking shape today. I will still say we are in transition, but it's happening now. It's genuinely happening now. So if that is the case, what is happening? We know that if I have three major steps in retail process, the demand management, purchase action, order management, I used to do all of that in the store. I used to go into store, I used to do it. Now I have more channels which has come in. And the channels are extremely intertwined in terms of people actually think about the product in one channel, they get the information about it in some other channel, they do the purchase action on the third channel, and they take the fulfillment through fourth channel. And that is something which is very, very interesting, which is happening in our business these days. Now, if I can know that, I am really going to make my business successful for tomorrow. I seriously feel most of my traditional retailers have to move to that level as quickly as they can. Now, how analytics come into play? Right? So analytics is nothing. We talk about big technology, lot of products. I think if I can answer some of very basic questions with the help of data which I have, I'm done. That's the only thing which I want to know. So I want to know, to run a retail business, who is my customer? What do I offer him in terms of product, in terms of promotion, in terms of service, in terms of experience? How do they shop? Do they shop on a social media? Do they shop online? They do actually go get information and then buy? Are they very impulsive? Right? How do I reach them? What is the best way? Shall I bring my store close to them? Shall I actually give them a campaign so that they come onto my website? What is the best way to get it there, right? And very importantly, how do I do the fulfillment of their demand? That's something which is happening. Now, if I know them, I need to get the customer insight, which becomes very, very important. And this is, I'm just decoding our business from an analytics lens. And if you can get all of these insights, you can do that. Once you get the customer insight, then come the merchandising. We always started merchandising first, customer second in the past. So then I actually start defining my strategy, right? what is my go-to-market strategies, how do I determine my customer strategy, what assortment, what portfolio I need to keep. If I keep that, I figure out how will I manage my operations. And we have always learned that managing a retail operation is perhaps the most difficult task. But if you start from there, you can easily figure out what is the assortment you need, how do you want to optimize your assortment, right? What kind of promotions you have to run, how you have to run it. And then how will you source, supply, and execute? Because it's one thing to know that customer needs product X at time Y. You also need to source it. You also need to keep an inventory, how much, where, and that's come into play. And then you need to figure out the same thing. How will you measure the impact which is happening, how the business is running, and how will you keep improving them? Very important part of that is linking all of these at the back end. And I think that's something we miss. Still, our operations are run, merchandising team runs separately, marketing team runs separately, customer team runs separately. Today, I have a currency called data which unites them all together because they're all using the same data of the customer, of what he is going to buy, through which channel he is going to buy, and when he is going to buy. If you can make that happen, that's work. So let's talk about how to apply analytics. Simple stuff, not very complex, right? I need to know who are my target customer, what do they buy, when do they buy, where do they buy, and very, very importantly, why do they buy? What is their inspiration or motivation to do a purchase action? Now that's what analytics and data can tell you very easily. You don't need big products, you don't need big solutions, you need the right question to ask. Now once you get that question solved, the next thing which you need to know is how to find out who else look in this population as my customer. Because you need to target the right customer to come back to you, or target the right people in the population to come back to you. Now for that, you need to know who else look like them, and they will come back to you. Now once you have done that, the next thing which you have to answer, I have the right customer, he is coming to my shop, or a web shop, or website, or a marketplace, wherever he is coming, what do I offer him? Do I offer him a promotion? Do I offer him right product? Do I offer him a service pack? What do I offer him? Through which channel I offer him? So for example, there may be a customer who will buy from the shop, but he will get all the information from the social media. Right? Now, what do I offer where? That becomes very, very important. And another thing which is happening, because it's a crowded space, how often I offer him. Because I don't want a fatigue to settle in. I also don't want to overdo it. I also don't want to underdo it. And both have its own negative sense. That's, again, the very important part which you asked for. The third thing which we always try, now I got my customer, I know what to offer him. How can I make him buy more and buy more often? That's the only way we increase our revenue in the existing customer base. Either I have to increase my basket size, or I have to increase the frequency of purchase. There's no other way I can increase my revenue. That's our business. It's a very simple business we run. Right? So how do I make him buy more often? How do I make him buy bigger baskets, either in volume or in value, whichever way you want to look at it? The last thing, which is very pertinent question, which we normally miss big time, is how do I become relevant to the customer after the transaction has happened? Unfortunately, we work in an industry which is very transactional in nature. We are very happy to do whatever it takes for a customer to bring him to the shop, make him buy. We will give him multiple promotion. Once he has bought, he is like anybody else for me. I don't care about him. Irrespective of whether you are selling a garment or a grocery or consumer durable or a fast-moving consumer good, whatever you are selling, it's extremely important that how do I remain relevant for him? How do I make my customer get me another customer like him next time? And that is something which we do a fairly poor job. And I think the reason was, again, as I said, the genesis of our business has always been a product-centric business rather than the customer-centric business. We are now transitioning to the customer-centric thing. Now, once I have done that, I need to figure out how do I decide what is the customer lifetime value. So over a span of next few years, how much I can sell to that customer, how often I can bring him back, and how will I make sure that I get the best share of wallet? Means we all wear some garments, we perhaps buy it from 5 different retailers. How can I make sure that my share of wallet is the highest in that? I don't think it's ever going to be a zero-sum game, so it's not going to be digital. It's never been 0 and 1. It's going to be share of the wallet which is going to be there. Because again, the variety of the assortment will make me go to some other retailer at some point in time. But can I get the major share of wallet there? That's the other thing which I'm looking at, particularly in the buying lifespan. And the buying lifespan will vary by categories, by products, by the customer life and all. Now, that's the gist of the analytics. Now, as I was telling, that it brings the whole operations of retail come together. The data alone can run the whole retail business, in my view. This is how it happens, right? Effectively, you need to run 2 different parallel track to do the whole retail business. And if you can manage these 2 parallel tracks, you can get all of that. I've further gone down or drilled down onto the questions which you need to ask. Your ultimate objectives are only 2. You need your customer loyalty, which is what you tell your marketing people, your customer people to target for. And the other one is that you need a profitable growth. So if you are profitable, you are getting growth. That's the other thing which you require. Now, these 2 parallel tracks can run very well together with both the tracks coming together. So let's take, for example, the marketing track. So when you are working on the marketing side, you want to know who is my customer, where do they buy, how do they shop, what is their current value, right? Why do they have come to a particular shop? What is their trip insight, right? What was the motivation for them to come? Which shops they have found? What is the frequency? What is the mission which they have? What drives the value for them? How will you improve the traffic? How will you make them come more often? Right? So that's the track which you are running on the top. There is a parallel track which you need to run, and they are not disconnected the way we actually run in our operation. They are very much clear. As soon as I know who is my customer, I should also be able to tell what will they buy. What do they typically buy? What is their basket look like? How often they need that basket? So these are very, very much interconnected together, right? Similarly, as soon as I know what is their penetration, what is the trip insight, I should also know how will I get the basket potential? Because that will help my merchandiser to figure out what to keep there. That will help my sourcing guy to figure out what to source. That will help my inventory guy to figure out what should stay in the inventory, what should stay in the shelf, what should stay on the website. So I think that becomes very, very important. Similarly, when I'm improving the traffic from a value perspective, can I look at the same thing from merchandising perspective and assortment perspective? How can I improve the basket value? How can I make my basket more profitable? The basket is going to remain the same because basket is determined by the customer, not by you. We have always under the impression that I tell customer what to buy. No, I don't tell customer what to buy. At least for today's customer tells me what he wants to buy. I need to fulfill that requirement. And that becomes very important. The better I understand the customer need, the better merchandising, better assortment I can actually build up. The better basket I can build up. That's become very, very important. Similarly, that also has an impact on pricing. That also has an impact on promotion. Because your promotion will be dependent on what you are offering to your customer as a basket. What kind of thing which you are offering, right? Then similarly, you run on a customer marketing plan, right? What is your media plan? We spend so much of money on the outdoors and others, and now with digital coming in, my media planning anyway have gone for a toss. I still don't know how to figure out and how to allocate my money. Where should I allocate? Shall I do more for my physical store, more for my digital store? How do I mix the two? We're still fairly confused on that, right? Same thing will go on my merchandising plan. What should sell I digital? What assortment should be there on the site? What assortment should be there on the store? That's become very, very important. So effectively what I'm trying to say, I have a currency today, which is data. If you are able to explore the insight of your data across the value chain and answer the questions which everybody is asking, and all those answers are stuck in that value called data, you will be able to run your business very well. This has nothing to do with technology. This has nothing to do with the large solutions we go and invest on. They are all very important to enable that insight. I'm not saying those solutions are not important. But ultimately, the solution will not run your business. You will run your business. If you ask your right question, the solutions which you buy from the market for various technologies will give you the right answer. And the answer will help you to manage your business better, not that I have bought a product, this is my customer loyalty product, I have installed it, now my loyalty is taken care of. Now that's not going to happen. And we are most of the time mistaken with that I have bought a very expensive, very good customer loyalty suite, that's taken care of my loyalty. I have built a merchandising engine that will take care of my merchandising. It will not unless you ask the right question and tell that engine to do something. Right? Coming back to the suits, there are various products which are popular right now. The areas which are popular in analytics, I've just listed it down. This is not new. All of you work in this business, so you would have already heard it. I'm 100% sure that you are doing some part of that at some level, whichever businesses you are working on, whichever clients you are working on, whichever companies you are working on. You just need to make it prevalent across the organization so that you can get the insight out very, very clearly. And if you can do that, you will be good to make sure that your business remain effective. The other very good thing which data does, or the whole insight piece does, is it makes your business very much agile. It gives you a trend that customer trends are changing well in advance, which will help you to reconfigure your business as you move forward. And that becomes very important in today's age, particularly you know that you have to change the pattern very, very quickly. I mean, I'm 100% sure most of us had changed our buying behavior about 18 months back, purely because we were living in a different world. We have not expected that world. On 20th of March 2019 or 2020, when we started the lockdown, none of us had thought that it will be that long. At least I'm 100% sure most of the people I have met, no one has guessed that it will remain for 18 months. So I have to change it, and if I have to reorient my business very quickly, again, the currency which remains consistent throughout is the data. It helped me in fulfillment, it helped me in building new baskets, it helped me in my assortment, it helped me in reaching my customer, it helped me continuing my business. And you would have seen the people who've been able to do this well and have come out well out of it are the people who actually manage that currency better. So that's the overall view on analytics. I can obviously drill down on any of the solution which you like. I know I've been given only 15, 20 minutes, so that's the limited time which you can do so much. So I will leave it here. I'm very happy to see that, I don't know, I have a couple of minutes. If there's any question which you guys have, we can take one or two questions, but otherwise, this is what I want to talk about. Don't worry when you hear a name called analytics or data, that it's a high-tech technology, you don't know about it. It's fairly simple. If you know your business, if you ask the right question, the machine, the technology is there to answer that question. The value of analytics will depend on how good your question is, not how good your solution or how good your technology is. That's the message I want to end with it. Thank you. So if there's any one question, I have about a minute or a minute and a half. Any comment, question, anything?
Anybody would do a quick question? No? Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amit Khanna. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Khanna.
Thank you.
For giving us those insights into the use of analytics in the world of retail. We now have a panel discussion that will put the spotlight on what it takes to win in the D2C model. But before the panel is invited on stage, I'd like to invite our most distinguished moderator, Mr. Ganesh Subramanian, to make a quick presentation before I ask the panel to join him. Mr. Ganesh Subramanian is founder and chief executive officer, Stylumia.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Wonderful. And wishing you all a belated happy Diwali. I'm going to be starting something. We've been hearing this buzzword of D2C, right? And how many of you keep on hearing this D2C through last one day or so? So I'm going to start with some quiz, one question, which is, okay, which is the largest digital-only brand in the world as we talk? Quick answers. Amazon, digital-only brand. Sorry, let me qualify that, digital-only fashion brand. Any more? Don't worry, there's no wrong answer. Okay, let me ask you in different way. Which is the digital-only fashion brand which will exceed Zara in its turnover next year? Sorry? DressX. Okay, interesting. Yeah? How many of you heard about DressX? Did anybody hear about DressX? Sorry? Shein. Wonderful. We have lots of intelligence in the audience. Thank you. The brand is Shein. Yeah? Now, this is not a brand we talk about. Everybody talks about Zara, everybody talks about H&M, everybody talks about Uniqlo when you ask this question, right? Now, this is an unknown mystery. Very important to understand the size of this brand. Any guesses for the size of the brand? Estimated last year turnover at $12 billion. Only operates online. Only operates online, the turnover is 86,400 crores. Isn't it amazing? Do we want to understand what this brand does in D2C? Not the 500 crore brands, not the 1,000 crore brands, right? And if we learn from this story, then we'll have something left with for all of us to think exponential, not incremental. Now, some statistics. Founded in 2008, never wanted to do PR below the radar brand, but they win consumers. It tells you a story. You don't need to be doing PR to win consumers, right? The founder is not from fashion. Founder is a digital marketing guy. Amazing, isn't it? Right? For you know the power of a brand which you can build globally without being in fashion. For what's the key insight? This brand mines internet for insights, not experience. Mines internet for insight. Product decision, largely data-driven. Largely data-driven. Speed, designed to delivery in 2 weeks. Their current plan is 2 days. Right? As we talk, it's 2 days. 10,000 SKUs every month. What is the essence? This brand runs only one thing at the center, which is consumer. Not me, not my idea, it's dynamic. Now, I just want to tell you what's not D2C, then we understand what is D2C, right? What is not D2C is not keeping this guy at the center. Whether you are taking product decisions, whether you are taking supply chain decisions, whether you are taking distribution decisions or personalization decisions. And many a times when we ask D2C, people say it's my .com. D2C is a mindset. It's not a business model. You might be selling through your partner. You are still in D2C business, except that somebody is helping you reach the consumer, right? So I just want to give that shift as we talk today through the panel too. For essence of what we saw, let's learn from that big story. There are lots of anti-Shein movement in the world, but I just want to only focus on what is good about Shein. If you just search on the internet, there are lots of stuff against, because when you become very big, very fast, there are people always going to be against. But let's just look at the best of it. For the 3 things which are required for you to be successful in D2C is be accurate, which means everything you do, keep on looking at how can we be better than yesterday. Be agile, which means fast, right? Fast, but in the right direction, because running fast in the wrong direction will reach you to a different place. And the last one is be adaptive, which means what worked last month may not work next month, which means you need to be dynamically learning from the business on an ongoing basis. For what are the traits of winning in D2C business? I just want to leave you with some thought starters here. D2C companies which really win are very passionate about consumers, and they demonstrate in what they do. They build capability. Whether they have or not is different. They build capability in data analytics. They demonstrate also more flexibility. They're very open in mind, right? They experiment, ready to fail. And they use increasingly digital channels. I just want to give you, my sensitivity to Shein went up when I visited Middle East 2 weeks back. This is what happened. We went and asked a lot of people, who do you think where the consumers are hanging out, right? We were told Instagram by most of the brands and retailers, all the big brands and retailers we met. And then we went and met a digital agency. Incidentally, this person is working directly with Shein, and they do digital marketing for Shein in Middle East. And we found something very, very interesting. And that person told us that the place where my consumers in Middle East are hanging out is not Instagram. Any guesses? Where are they hanging out? TikTok. Right? It was Snapchat. Do you know the latest buzzword is not your mobile number? What's your Snap ID? Snap ID is the mobile number in Middle East. Who knows? Shein from China, not the guys who are actually there in that country for decades. Because somebody is mining the internet to find out where my consumers are. So what I'm saying is, I think it is just not in decisions on product, it's also in how they win the customers, understand where they are. Right. Now, that brings to some very quick context. If you're interested to see how you can get the power of Shein or Zara to your brand, you can always visit us. And I'm going to quickly take you through some case studies of how brands are getting benefited using our proposition. You take informed product decisions. Retail is all about product and consumer on two sides, right? And you will hear a lot today about a lot of investment towards the consumer, right? My loyalty, personalization, all of that, but very less on product. For that something, that's the kind of benefits people are getting. What Shein does to mine the internet is something that we at Stylemia do. Mine the internet and give you insights on a dynamic basis for you to take sharp product decisions on an ongoing basis. I'm not getting into details of all of that so that we have large time. And how do you also predict demand of new products? See, you take two decisions, what product and assortment to make, and then also how much to make. Take these decisions correctly. Imagine Shein is actually winning in markets which they have never seen before. Do you know whom they are uprooting in UK? ASOS. The pillar in UK is now suffering. The latest forecast from analysts says that their share prices have already come down by 20% because their market share is coming down and this guy is winning local markets. They're winning actually Zara and H&M in their mother market, Europe, purely on intelligence, which means you can actually come from outside in and win your markets and scale exponentially within India also if you take a data-based approach, which is consumer at the center. Then adapt, right? Adapt is basically how frequently are you taking decisions? Are you taking weekly decisions, daily decisions, monthly decisions? So we work with a lot of brands where, typically quarterly decisions, monthly decisions. Now people are all moving into weekly decisions. More decisions in a year you take, more adaptive you are. And how do you do that? Again, understanding data and doing that faster. So what are the kind of benefits one can get? All three vectors, right? We're all finally interested in P&L metrics, whether it's inventory, profit, or revenue growth. For why there is a need for change. We see that a lot of D2C movements are outside India, not here. Very powerful movements outside India, I think we can learn. And why is it more important? COVID has generally accentuated the problem, right? COVID has only sensitized us that demand is changing. It was changing so fast that we were understanding it, right? But in fashion, always demand is changing. So the question is, how do you manage such an environment? Wonderful. And in case you want a copy of this presentation, or you'd like to have more discussions about how some of these strategies are working for whether Shein, for other brands, please do reach out to us. And you can mail me to get a copy of this presentation. But with that bit of a background, we've got an enviable list of panelists today who come with over 100 years of experience in running businesses across verticals, fashion, jewelry, lifestyle, shoes, and we're going to listen from them on how they're really applying some of these techniques here, some of these approaches here in terms of how being agile, adaptive, and being accurate. Over to you. Thank you very much.